On?
33 Parakid Gimel, we did like 4 psukim last time.
Okay, so we mentioned that Shaul HaMelech is in the first year of his reign, and he's king altogether for 2 years. He picked 3,000 special royal troops, 2,000 are with him, 1,000 in Michmas and 1,000 in Beis El, another 1,000 with Yonasan in Givas Binyamin, and there Yonasan started up with the local Philistine sentry. Exactly who he killed, how many he killed, we don't know, right? It could be he killed some very special character, right? Who was the governor, right? Because that's how the word is used in modern Hebrew. But I don't know what it means. Anyway, it certainly started up with the Philistines. They didn't like the idea, and they're ready. They're going to retaliate.
Do you think
it's a bit like you know how the First World War started, right? Somebody assassinated somebody in I don't know where it was, and then the whole world went into war. So Shaul reckoned that there's going to be a war, and so he mustered, all the soldiers together. Now, his army is quite big. Last time it was 300,000 plus 30,000 Yehuda, 330,000 soldiers. And he also sent a message to the Ivrim, who at the moment we don't really know who they are, right? But it certainly seems to me they're not the regular Jews, because the regular Jews are called Yisrael. And the next passage says, V'chol Yisrael, Sham, instead of V'chol Ivrim. Clearly the author is trying to differentiate between these two groups of people, Ivrim and Yisrael. Yes, they're all Jews, right? But even some different type of class. So maybe those who had sided with the Philistines, or were captured by the Philistines, or were referred to by this derogatory term, which is what the Ivrim is.
Yeah, I remember you said Ivrim was a different derogatory word.
That's what I said.
Word.
Do you think the law is applicable at this point, Amlacha, that if you just got married, or you just bought a house, and just bought
Absolutely.
So part of counting these 3,000, was that factored in?
That was only
Guess so.
That was only the social.
There's no reason to think that this law wouldn't apply. Like laws weren't invented over the course of history. You know, rabbis made enactments, but that's clearly possible in the Torah. It could be about certain wars; those rules don't apply. That means that I don't know the details of what type of war. There's different types of wars. There's 3 types of wars. What's called the Melchemes Rishus, Melchemes Mitzvah, and Melchemes Chayva. The Rambam splits into 3 types of wars. Melchemes Rishus means a war that the king has permission to fight, but there's no obligation to. There's also a war which is a mitzvah to fight, and there's another type of war which is an obligation to fight. The difference between a mitzvah and obligation is a mitzvah is something that you
It's good if you do.
It's not right. It's good brownie points if you do it, right? But you don't like if the goy coming to attack you, then you have an obligation to defend the Jews from the attacker. Whereas the mitzvah to conquer Eretz Yisrael is a mitzvah, but it's not obligation. It means in certain place, at certain time, then there might be now's the time to do it. But it's not the same type of obligation. I'll put it off till next week. Next week I'll do it. It doesn't have to be done now at this moment, right? Whereas chayva is something which is something you can't get out of. Okay, those are the 3 types of wars, and in certain wars, certain rules apply. I think that in the Melchemes Chayva, there's no exceptions made for anybody. I think everybody goes out to fight. I don't think that the Chosson and the guy who was just built a vineyard, who just built a house, all these stories apply to Melchemes Chayva. If I'm not mistaken, I think they only apply to Melchemes Rishus, which means when the king calls you out to war and he has the right to fight. If I'm not mistaken, those are the rules. But you have to look up the details. But and definitely there's no question that if they applied now as well. Nothing's changed over the course of history. Okay. Yeah.
So where do the Haredi get the one that they added?
Let's warn you, Lev. You hijacked the last class.
Okay, fine.
I'm not going to let you hijack this class.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes. You want to know where Haredi get the idea of not having to fight the
you're
army?
learning Torah.
We could spend 3 weeks discussing that question, and you still wouldn't be satisfied with the answer.
Okay.
Right? It'll take a long time to explain. Right? It's not something our regular class. Yeah. No Haredi actually believes that learning Torah is an exemption for fighting the army. No, absolutely not.
Really?
No, that is not the way it's. But it's much more complicated than that. Understand? In David HaMelech's fight, Talmidei Chachamim fought. In Yeshua's war, Talmidei Chachamim fought. The fact that people learned Torah was not exemption from that. It's much more complicated than a simple understanding like that. Okay? All right. Yes, so where are we up to? So all Israel heard that there was going to be a war, and because Shaul had sent a message around, that's Pasuk Dalet. Pasuk K. Uflishtim ne'esfu. We mentioned that as well. The Philistines in the meantime have gathered together while the Jewish people are in Gilgal. The Philistines are in Michmas. They have their 30,000 chariots, 6,000 infantry, and the foot soldiers are uncounted because there are so vast and so many. So we imagine there's probably something like 500,000. Why do we think that number? Yeah, about. Could be between 500,000 and 1 million. I don't know, right? I don't want to make more than I have forced to say, right? We know that the Jewish people had an army of 300,000. So if you say that the enemy had vast like the sand on the seashore, it's probably at least double. Maybe 10 times the amount, but at least double. Otherwise, it's not such a big number. Right. You know, 1.5 times is okay. It's 1.5. That's not a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal. It's not like you wouldn't describe it like that. Describing like the sand on the seashore, to my mind, is at least double. Yeah. For sure. So I said they've at least got 500,000, 600,000. Okay, fine. And what do? They camp in Michmas, which is in the hills past here on the way towards the Dead Sea. Now, it's interesting because the Philistines have come all the way from the Philistine land. They go all the way.
Which is where?
Philistine is Gaza Strip, Ashkelon, Azza, Ekron, Gat. Those are the Philistine towns.
Everything like Ashdod to the Egyptian border.
Correct. All that is the Philistine area, and they have come all the way to Yerushalayim, past Yerushalayim, beyond, on the way to the Dead Sea. Okay, not as far as there. Now they've also taken over a place called Michmas. Now Michmas, if you remember, was a place where Shaul had 2,000 soldiers situated. That was Pasuk base. Shaul chose 3,000 men. 2,000 were with Shaul in Michmas. And that sounds like that Shaul's... We didn't know. Yeah, that's his palace. We don't know. We're not mentioning about building a palace, but that's where he's stationed. And somehow or other, the Philistines have now come all the way there, and Shaul has moved out. Maybe Shaul's moved out because he's scared. Maybe Shaul moved out and ready to build an army somewhere in the Dead Sea, right? And that's where they're going to fight the battle. I don't know why he's moved out, but you see how far the Philistines had advanced into conquering the country. You'll see later on in the story that the Philistines already had control of it, right, in a certain sense, right? You'll see later on, right?
More control than us.
Yes, they controlled. Oh. You know, they controlled it even under the King Shaul. You see, that just like today, right? Israel controls the West Bank. It controls it. They don't go in there the whole time and do things, but they control. They have political control over the West Bank. Right, officially, right? Yeah. The West Bank have no right to have any army there. They have police force only because Israel agrees. Israel gave them weapons to have a police force.
De facto controls. Israel, like in practice, is the one that fully controls it.
Well, the opposite in practice doesn't. Officially does. In practice, they just kill each other the whole time, and Israel just lets them do what they want, right? Because they're happy to kill each other, because then there'll be less for us to kill.
But they pay taxes to us.
They pay taxes, and it's very complicated. I'm saying the official political control of the West Bank is Israel, right?
Like Panama.
Like what?
Panama. America controls Panama.
No, America does not control Panama.
America controls the bit of the whether and now they get it back. Yeah. Okay, but you understand. So it looks like you'll see from the continuation of the story there's some type of real political military control that the Philistines have over the land of Israel to a certain extent. In a way, I don't know. Britain controlled Germany after the war. Yeah. And there were all sorts of rules that Germans were not allowed to. They defied the rules and they built an army, right? But you know, when they made a peace plan in the Treaty of whatever it was, Versailles, right? The Germans had to accept certain conditions. So you'll see that's what I mean as control. There's some type of political control the Philistines have over the Jewish people, as you'll see very soon. Okay, but now the army has moved in. They've actually attacked, and they're now in Michmas, which is past Jerusalem, all the way from the sea, past Jerusalem. On the way to the Dead Sea. Okay, what happens? The Aish Israel, the men of Israel, saw kitzar lo, that it was pressured. Tsar means
pain.
No. I'm not going to make that mistake again. That mistake has been made by everyone in this classroom at least 10 times. Sa'ar means pain. With an ayin. Sadi ayin resh. Sar. Kol ha'olam kula gesher sar ma'od. Doesn't mean the world is a painful bridge, does it? Means it say narrow. Tsar means narrow. Now, the two words are related, because when things are very narrow, it can be painful, right? And often it is painful when things are narrow, but it doesn't literally mean painful. They weren't in pain yet, because the Philistines hadn't attacked them, right? But they saw they were under a lot of pressure. That's what narrow means. It means things were becoming difficult. There was a lot of pressure on all different sides on the Jews. So the Jews saw that it was difficult. Tsar meaning narrow. Ki nigas ha'am. So we'll see, and that means the people had a chunk taken out of them. And negisa is when you take a bite, right? Take a cookie, and now you nogis. So the Philistines had taken a bite out of the people. But we see they'd moved all the way from Philistine western area. Their troops had attacked all the way to Ichmas. So the people had been bitten.
Killed?
I don't know. Whatever you want to describe it as.
Okay.
Right? Nigas, there was a chunks had been, not literally been bitten, right? But describing the way in which they were attacked. Vayischabu ha'am. And the people hid. Lehitchabot means to hide, as in playing hide and seek. Is hitchabot. Bama arot, in the caves. So there were caves that people hid in because they were scared of the Philistines who had attacked and had spread over the country. So people were hiding in the caves. Ubachavachim.
And they chose.
No. Where would that mean by chose?
Chavod is to the side.
No.
Bechud is to the side.
Luchud?
Bechud.
Isn't Bachar to choose?
Bachar is to choose.
Okay.
And this doesn't say anything. The base is a prefix. U and. Ba in. The root is chavach. Ches vav ches. What does it mean? It's some type of hideout. Exactly what it means. It's somewhere like a cave. Not exactly a cave, but something like that. Ubasaloim, and in the rocks. So you can hide in a rock, you can hide behind a rock, or hide between two rocks. There are different types of hideouts. It can be a cave, it can be, I think Chavachim actually means the thorn bushes. Places where you hope the Philistines are not going to find you. Up a tree. Ubasaloim, in the rocks. Ubatsirichin. Now, tsiriach means... No. That's with a chof. This is with a ches. Look at it. Sarich, to need, is a chof. With a ches, it means like a tower. A minaret. You know what a minaret is, like a tall tower? So that's another place to hide, hoping no one's going to find you there. Ubaborot, a bar is...
Building.
No. Why is a bar a building?
A cistern.
A cistern, very good. It means a pit. So that anywhere Jews could hide, Jews say, try and imagine, or you don't want to imagine, the Nova Festival, where the Nova were attacked by marauding Palestinians, right? Change the word Palestinians into Philistines, and where are people hiding there? Every single place you can hide. Up the tree, in the shelters, right? Did it help? Some people it helped, some people it didn't help.
The garbage bin.
Right, everywhere, right? So that's what people, that's exactly describing. Every describable hideout is where people are hiding from these cruel, nasty, horrible Pelishtim who are trying to take over the country, right? So people are hiding in caves, in the thorn bushes, in the rocks, in the towers, in the pits. Okay. Because the Philistines have come bitten them, right? The Ivrim, now we got back to the Ivrim. Clearly a new group. What happened to the Ivrim? Ovru Esayaude. They crossed over the Jordan. I mean, some people ran away. So some people were going in hiding, some people ran away. So my guess is, the reason the guys who ran away is because they were people who were scared they wanted to side with the Jews. They didn't want to get caught by the Pelishtim because they would be considered, they were already collaborators. But if they were caught siding with Shaul, which Shaul wanted all the Ivrim to hear. If they'd been caught going back to the Jews, there would have been no mercy for them. So their only solution was to run away altogether. Not to hide and hope you not get caught, but to run away to the other side of the Jordan. That's why this group of people didn't want to take the risk of being caught. You know, hiding is one thing. You hide, maybe you won't get caught, maybe you will get caught. But if you're at higher risk, because you have shown your true colors. Disloyalty, right? Because you were once collaborators and now you've gone back. So maybe that's the explanation.
I thought you'd say something different.
The Ivrim Avru Es Hayarden. The Ivrim crossed over the Jordan to Eretz God, to the land of God. Where's the land of God? On the eastern side of the Jordan. But Gilad, and the land of Gilad, which is also there. But Shaul, where's he? Like Denuba, Gilgal, he's still in Gilgal. So even though the people have been attacked by the Philistines, that's the one. Some of the people are hiding. Some of the people have gone to Chutz La'aretz. They've gone over the Jordan. Shaul's staying in Gilgal, ready to fight. He hasn't given up yet. Okay? Shaul, Denu, he's Oid means still. After all that's been said, now so many people have run away and hiding and not, yeah, even still, he's still here. Chal ha'am, and all the people.
And the nation.
Chal ha'am means the people. The nation is Ummah with an aleph, like Binyanei ha'Ummah, right? The Ummah is the nation with an aleph. Am is the people. All the people, Chardu Acharov.
Sword after them.
Sword?
Sword.
No, that's Cherev.
Oh,
This is Chared. What's Chared? You know what
Fear.
Charedim are?
Fear.
Right, very good. Shaking, quaking, fearing, right. So now, it looks like those who did follow him were scared. A lot of people have gone into hiding, right? Shaul has mustered the whole army, but it looks like most of them have run away. Right? It doesn't say how many have run away. A lot of them are in hiding. A lot of them have gone over to Eva Yardin, and those who are with him, they are scared.
Are we sure?
Even though they followed after him.
Are we sure that the people that were hiding were soldiers?
I don't know who they are. I don't know.
Rabbi.
It says Ish Yisrael, the men of Israel. I don't know what that means. Yes.
And not say, I thought you would say earlier on that Ivrim,
Yeah.
they crossed over the Jordan because they colluded with the Palestinians.
The Philistines.
Yeah. So they had like the inside scoop of what's going to happen. So guess in return, the Philistines allowed them to go. It's like
Very unlikely.
Diplomatic.
It's very unlikely because then it doesn't follow the same theme.
because I thought that's why they used that word.
Yeah, but the whole theme is it's describing the
Fear.
way the Jews are reacting to the Philistines. It doesn't sound like but the Ivrim they had inside scoop, so they had better information. I think everybody knew what was happening. It could be that most people don't want to leave because this is their land. The Ivrim who are like not really, they don't really live here in any case because they're the people who have somehow sided with the Philistines, but they've decided to give up their collaboration, but they don't have anywhere to go to, so that's why they go. Just the best way is to move abroad. But I don't really have a good explanation. Let's continue. So everything's scary. How many soldiers have stayed with us? We don't know. We'll find out soon how many stayed, but it could be at the moment there's quite a few. Shivas Yamin. He weighed. What do you say?
They sat in the days.
No, where's sat?
Shiva.
7.
That's 7.
7.
7. Vayochel means to wait. He waited for 7 days. He. Who waited? Shaul. Why did he wait for 7 days? So it says, La Moed.
What are they?
Yes, but not really. Moed really means a fixed time.
No.
The reason why holidays are called that is not because they're holidays. The word for holidays is a chag. Right? Moed means a fixed time. So they're fixed times in the years, that's why they're called Moed.
How do you say stand?
It doesn't say stand.
Yeah, we have I think.
Omed.
Omed. Omed, that's a different order. That's Ayin Mem Dalet. This is Mem. This actually, the Mem isn't a root letter. The root letter is Va'ad. Vav Ayin Dalet. Va'ad means
Like a vad?
yes, what's a Va'ad?
Like a group.
A group, where you fix a time to meet together, which is what a Moed is. Where you get all the family together. Where you get a group who get together to discuss something or to enjoy each other's company. It's a Va'ad. So a Moed is a time of the year when you get to do that. Right? So now, this is the time, 7 days was the time, Asher Shmuel, that Shmuel, what about it?
That's it.
Had said, right, so the word had said is missed out. So let's go back to chapter 10 and see where Shmuel said this. In chapter 10, which is on page... here, on page 26. If you remember the first time he anointed Shaul in private, And he said to him, a whole string of events are going to happen to you. You're going to meet this guy, and you meet this guy, and he's going to give you this present. Okay, and then, it says in Pasuk Zion, Vav, the Spirit of God will come upon you, you will prophesy, and when all these signs will come true, then do whatever you have to do, because God is with you. Then it says, you will go down to Gilgal. So Shmuel is predicting the events are happening now. Now it's happening. You're going down to Gilgal. Shmuel didn't tell him why you're going down to the Gilgal. You're going down to the Gilgal, which is what happened, because that's where his army has gathered to fight the Philistines who are amassed in Michmas, which is up in the mountains. V'hinei, anochi yored elecha, I'm going to come down to you, leha'alois oilos, to offer up sacrifices, lizboach zivchei shlomim, to bring peace offerings. Shivas yomim tochel, you shall wait 7 days. Ad bo'elech, until I come to do. V'hoidati lecha es asher ta'aseh, I will tell you that which you should do. So Shaul now realizes he's in the situation where he has to fulfill this instruction. So that's why he's waiting. No, he doesn't want to wait. He wants to fight. The longer you wait for the enemy to amass the troops and to attack, and right, it's scary. But Shmuel told me to wait. So that's why he's waiting. Shmuel told him to wait. That's why he's waiting. Okay, so that's what it says. Yochel Shivas Yami, you wait for 7 days. Asher Shmuel, which Shmuel, for the time that Shmuel had designated. V'loi ba Shmuel had Gilgal, but Shmuel didn't come. 7 days, didn't come. Shmuel said he would come, right? How long can I wait for him? Yafet ha'am me'alav, and the people spread out from upon him. Means everyone decided we can't stay. How long are we going to stay for? If we stay, we're going to get massacred. The Philistines are just going to attack us sometime, and they're going to kill us all. So therefore, the only solution is to go away and hide and let the Philistines take over the country. You know, if they take over the country, it's not going to massacre everybody. That's silly. Right? They don't need a big country. They want to tax people. That's what they want. They don't want to kill. They're not anti-Semites. Understand? Yeah? They don't want to kill everybody. They have no interest in killing everybody. They do want to tax everybody. But in the war, whoever's fighting them will get killed in war. And then the rest of the country will be subservient to them. Okay? So that's what they said. They're scared now. We have to attack. Now, someone to read, that's also V'chol ha'am chodu acharav, means they put pressure on him. Even the Pasuk Zion. Right? Not they followed him quaking. No, not chodu, but they actually tried to pressure him to go, but I don't know, I don't see how it means that. To me, it just means that people were scared, but they followed him all the same. Until waiting a day, another day, and how long can you wait? Right? What's your problem, Shaul? We've got to get on with this job. What are you waiting for? So that's why they gave up. So most of the people, you'll see how many people left soon. Most of the people just gave up and left. And there's a few diehards who stayed with Shaul. By Yofetz, right? That means to spread out. So they scattered. That's what it means. They scattered.
Yes, I mean to desire.
It's what?
Desire.
No, that's Chefetz. Ches. You know the song? Masai Kasi Mahus Chabadia. Masai Keshe Yafutsu Mayane Sekha Chutzai. Masai. It's a song that the Balatanya, I think. No, the Balatanya, the Baal Shem Tov. He met Eliyahu HaNavi. And he asked Eliyahu HaNavi, or Mashiach, when are you going to come? So he said, when your teaching spread out. Yafutsu Mayane. So when your wellsprings Mayane Secha, when they spread out to the rest of the world. So the word he uses Yafutsu. Yafutsu means to spread out. So that's what I'm over here. Okay? Right? Will you say that? All right, good, right. That means over there as well. Our enemies should spread out. Spread out doesn't mean spread out and take over. It means to get scattered. That's what it means. It's interesting because in that sentence, Yafutsu Mayane Secha Chutz, there it has a slightly different meaning. Right. It doesn't mean to be scattered. It means it should spread out so everyone should have it. Right. Here it means to spread out that nobody should have it. That's the point. Right? Everyone run away from the... Anyway, the same verb used. Shaul. So Shaul gave up. A week's up. Shmuel, I gave him a week. Shmuel said, wait a week. I wait a week. A week's already up. Right? So apparently this was day 7. So that's already like...
Is this going to be the same thing as modern Torah? Where he comes
like... Similar. Even the ego.
Yeah.
Similar.
Yeah.
Right? It's day 7 is up. It wasn't the whole week, it was up. It's the 7th day. There was a lot of pressure, and Shmuel's not coming. Okay? You have to be, this God is purposely putting Shaul under a tremendous pressure. A lot of pressure, what do they call it? Atomic pressure. Right? He's got this huge army, Philistines, 500,000 Philistines, with their tanks and with their cavalry, right? And they're ready to attack. And he could attack at any minute. And he's got this tiny army, which was one size, a relative size, but most of them have left, right? And what's he going to do? He can't run away. He's the king, right? He
Yeah.
can't fight them with the number of people he's got. At least, and he has to pray to God first. Okay, so you can only have to fight. We have to bring in the sacrifices. I should more said wait a week, so I waited a week, right? More than that, I think the Malbim says if you read Shmuel's instructions, it's not 100% clear what he meant. Let's go back to page, what was it? 26. Read the word slowly. You could, if you wanted to, or if you're under a lot of pressure, you might force yourself to read it this way. Unfortunately, a lot of our lives are like this, right? We know what's right, and when somebody asks us, what do you think I should do? You'll give him answer A. And when you're in the same situation, under a lot of pressure, all of a sudden you find a leniency, or maybe it doesn't always apply what I said to the guy, and I find all sorts of excuses for myself, right? So let's read the words. V'yorada, you should go in front of me to Gilgal. So hine, behold, anochi yored echa, I'm going to come out. Leha'alois oilois, to offer up sacrifices. Lizbayach zivei shlamim, to offer peace offerings. Shivas yomim toichel, wait 7 days. Ad boyerech, until I come to you. So he waited 7 days, right? And I'm going to come out to you. But the simple meaning is I'm going to come out to you to offer those sacrifices. You must wait 7 days before you bring the sacrifices. You could read it, you have to wait 7 days.
Sacrifice there.
I'm going to come down to you, right? Who's going to bring the offerings? Not I'm going to. Yeah? So read it like this. You go in front of me to the Gilgal. Right? Now put two pauses here. I'm going to come to you, that's right. Lehalos, who's going to bring the offerings? Me or you? We've had sentences like this before, where those three words are really in brackets. I want you to go down in front of me, and I'm going to follow you. Okay. To bring up sacrifices. No, I'm going to bring the sacrifices. You're going to bring the sacrifices. It's not 100% clear. And he says, wait 7 days. I waited 7 days. Right? He doesn't tell me I have to wait 7 days before I bring the sacrifice. He didn't say wait 7 days and then bring the sacrifices. Wait till I come and then bring the sacrifices. However, Shaul read it, but Shaul finds now under the pressure to read it like that. What does he do? Shaul, Hagishu Elai ha'oila. Bring me the oila, the hashlamim, and the peace offering. Those are two sacrifices which Shmuel had said to bring before they go out to war. Hayal ha'oila, and he offered up the sacrifice. Vayi, and it was kirchaloise when he finished. Kirchaloise when he finished. Laha'alois ha'oila, to bring up the oila. V'hinei Shmuel ba. All of a sudden Shmuel appears, just 5 minutes late. Or 5 minutes early, right?
But it's not common sense, Rabbi.
It is. What's not common sense for who?
No, but I mean, like, if you tell me, wait for me and we'll go together and
Right?
we'll give a drasha.
Yeah.
And then I leave and I go to the simcha and you're not there and I'm waiting and the rabbi's not.
Yeah.
It's not common sense when you said we'll give a drasha, then you will give the drasha. It wasn't meant to be me.
That's also how it was.
Okay, that's exactly what Shaul read it, correct. Yeah, Shaul uses common sense.
Then it means
Right.
he will give the sacrifice.
Right. Who will? Shaul.
Shmuel.
So you're saying that Shaul was made a bad decision?
No, I'm saying when you said we'll give a shlamim, or we'll give
Yeah.
a sacrifice, it should have been common sense that
Correct, absolutely.
the prophet will do it.
Correct, I agree with you.
Is it
Right.
necessarily
But
true?
common sense often goes out the window when you're under a lot of pressure. Right? That's exactly, you agree with that story, right? You bang your car into the car behind you, right? Someone comes and says, what do you do? Yeah, and you got to know the guy is, you leave a note on his car telling you the damage, right? Right. But that's when someone comes to ask you a question, what should they do? The question is when you do it, So it depends how much damage it was, how much of a hurry you're in. All of a sudden you find sorts of excuses of why it's not necessarily applied. I'm saying we agree. Shaul is under tremendous pressure. You understand the pressure he's on? You'd never want to have any son like this, right? You have imagine Hamas, right? 500,000 Hamasnikim, right, are ready to attack you. And you're under strict instructions from the Navi not to do anything until he comes and bring a sacrifice, right? And you know that every minute you wait longer, more and more of your soldiers are deserting. Now you had a nice army of 300,000 and slowly, gradually they're going. And they're all going, you can't stop them, right? How can you stop them? You can shoot them, you can shoot them all. They're all going and leaving you, right? And the longer you wait, and it's ticking, the time's ticking, it's already day 7, the time's ticking, and there's no more soldiers left, right? You're just going to be annihilated, the whole place. Look, The prophet said to wait a week. He said to bring something. He didn't say he was going to bring something. Yeah, it's true. If you'd asked me logically, I would have agreed with Lev. Probably the prophet meant that, but maybe not. Maybe he meant, but wait a week. Maybe I misunderstood what the prophet said. Maybe on the contrary, you understand? Now I'm trying to say, the prophet's going to come and be annoyed with me for waiting. I didn't take what I meant you to wait to bring the. You meant you to wait for a week, and then you'll go out and fight. And after you brought the sacrifice, I didn't mean I'm going to bring the sacrifices. I'm sure that went through Shaul's mind as well.
So why does Shmuel have to come at all?
Rega. Why does he have to come? Because he couldn't tell him that he was wrong. Shmuel comes.
Even if he was right, he would still come along.
If who was right?
If even if Shaul interpreted right and he was meant to do the sacrifices, Shmuel still was planning on coming along.
Yeah, but the nice Shaul was wrong. Yeah? Shaul Likrasai. Shaul went out. Likrasai means not to call him. Towards him. Towards him.
What's that?
Likrato means towards him. He went out to greet. He said, I saw Shmuel. Very nice. Hi, Shmuel. Levarachai. To bless him. He went to Levarach means to bless. Right? It looks like that Shaul, well, let's see. Does Shaul think he's made a mistake? No. He really thinks this was the right thing to do in the circumstance. Shmuel, Me'al Sisa, what did you do? So that's clearly a criticism. I mean, clearly Shmuel is not happy with what Shaul understands that, right? Because he can see there's an animal just being sacrificed there, and Shaul says, what have you done? Right? So Shaul says, well, have I done something wrong? Well, so now he has to justify himself. It looks like initially he was going out to greet him, thinking it was fine what he'd done. But now he says, well, if you think there's something wrong, I have to explain. So maybe what I did was really wrong. I misunderstood what you were telling me to do, but I'll explain why I did it. Right? Kira Isi, because I saw Kinafat Me'alai, the people were scattering from upon me. I know my army was decimated. There was nobody left. I had to do something. Ve'ata loibasa, you didn't come lamoed according to the appointed time. Hayamim of the days. We said 7 days. You didn't come. Upelishtim ne'esafim, and the Pelishtim are gathered michmas in michmas. So I've got all these pressures. The people are going away. The Philistines are attacked. You didn't come. V'aymar. So I said. This is what I thought. Ata. Now, Yerdu Pelishtim Elai, the Pelishtim will come down to me. Hagilgal. Upnei Hashem loichilisi, and the face of God I have not entreated. Which means I haven't prayed. Before we go out to battle, the Philistines are going to attack. I can't, face the Philistines without first praying to God through my sacrifices. Now, this is a very interesting word. I think it means as follows. Va'es apak. Now, va'es apak is a word, a very not commonly used by Israelis, right? It means when a kid wants to go to the toilet and holds himself back. Lehit apek, right? You'd hear a mother on the bus screaming at his kid, right? Yeah, I need tzarich means I need to make, right? As titapek, right? Means control yourself, right? Control myself, right? Yosef the word there appears in Yosef, when Yosef couldn't control himself in front of his brothers and he had to reveal himself. Right? He wanted to hold his revelation in, but he just couldn't do it for whatever reason. Right? I read the story. That's the word used. Lehitapek means so Shaul, I wanted to v'etapak, and I controlled myself. V'aleha and I offered the oila. Now, isn't that the opposite?
Right.
That's the opposite. He lost control. So it could mean I controlled myself for 7 days and eventually gave in.
Well, you didn't give the peace offering.
So what? No, because that Shmuel came before he had a chance. He came after the Oila, but Shmuel came before he brought the peace offering. But I don't think he didn't say I controlled myself for 6 days, but eventually gave in. That's silly. You gave in. You realized you made a mistake, right? So I heard somebody else say what it means is I control myself not to attack the Philistines. Means that much I didn't do. You told me to wait a week. I didn't attack. All I did was brought the sacrifice, right? But I don't think it means that. I think it means is he felt that he was controlling himself by bringing the sacrifice. It means he felt the urge to wait was the Yetzer Hara speaking. means that's a real difficult test. When you think that a mitzvah is an aveira and aveira is a mitzvah. Siddur Hashem talks about this when he talks about people who don't know make a cheshbon a nefesh. They're like the blind. And the problem with the blind is, you walk off a cliff and you end up, right? But the other thing is you think a pillar is a person. I don't know if you remember the marshal. Like at night, not only do you not know where you're going, you get things completely mixed up. And I think that Shaul felt, yes, he had this dilemma. Should he wait? Should he not wait? The Navi told him the thing, but it was a risk, right? And he felt that he was controlling his Yetzer Hara by bringing the carbon. On the contrary, his Yetzer Hara is telling him to bring the carbon. His Yetzer Hara is telling him to wait. And his Yetzer Tov is telling him, no, you can't wait. You've got all these Jews, their lives are all at risk. All these soldiers are going to die in battle if you go and do this. That was he felt was the Yetzer Hara telling him. Here's something was telling him to wait. And I controlled myself, and I didn't give in to that Yetzer Hara to wait, and I brought the carbon knowing that's the right thing to do, because the right thing to do in the circumstance is to bring the carbon. That's how convinced he was that he was right. It wasn't just like he had I would have advised somebody else differently. It wasn't. He felt he was doing the right thing. Shmuel el Shaul. Shmuel said, Niskalta. That was silly. A sachal is a fool. That was foolish mistake. You did not keep the commandment of God that He commanded you. Kings have to be made of better stuff than that.
He commanded you?
You have to have nerves of steel. Not just a regular soldier like a paratrooper who needs nerves of steel. It's the king, right? You have to be able to face all the pressures in the world. If you give in when there's pressure, that's not a king. We'll find someone else better king. Doesn't make him not tzaddik, he's a great guy. But you have to be able to face this tremendous pressure and be able to know what's right and what's wrong, and not think this is the right thing when that's the right thing. Because if I'd really asked you last week, what do you think the Navi means? Right? If I had sat you down a week ago and said, what does he mean? If you're under a lot of pressure, what will it mean? Yeah, he means have to wait. Right? What was this atomic pressure? Really, really, everyone's going away. Still, until you're in the pressure, you don't know what it feels like. Right? You would have sided with this decision. No, the Navi says you have to wait. You have to wait. But the problem was, under pressure, he reinterpreted the words of the Navi, and that's why God is not happy with him. That was a foolish mistake. Now, God had prepared your kingdom, El Yisrael, to rule over Israel. Ad Olam, forever. You were meant to be a monarchy that would last forever.
This is why he wasn't.
The Ata, but now, because you failed in this one test, Mamlachtecha lo takum, your kingdom will not be established. That's it. You lost it, Shaul. One mistake. So it sounds very, very harsh, but God makes the rules. God knows who He wants for His king and who's able to pass the test, and those who don't pass the test, just like, you want to be one of the Navy SEALs, right? You want to pass that, they're very, very demanding. They want the best of the best. You have to be people who won't give in under pressure. And if you crack under the pressure, then you go and join the rest of the women outsiders. I once read an article, have a National Geographic on how difficult it is to become a Navy SEAL. This, not Pashut. You have to, swim underwater for 36 hours, 60-degree centigrade water. It's crazy the things they have to do. But they don't want anyone less. Anyone less than that's not fit to be Navy SEAL. That doesn't mean you're not a good soldier. You'll be a great soldier. But this is only for the best of the best. Same, you want to be king of Israel? You have to be able to stay. The word of God is absolute. And it's not just the pressure of the war. God told you very clear prophecy. You wait for a week until I come, and then you bring the sacrifices. No fetching, I meant that, he meant that. No, that's it. Okay.
It's a bit like Yosef when he asked the butlers for a favor to put in a word for Pharaoh to get him out. He didn't do that. Most people would do that.
And here's Madrega. Yeah. The marshal is a good marshal, but Yosef didn't lose anything. He got punishment. He was in prison for another 2 years. Right. This guy's lost his whole kingdom. It's been passed down to somebody else. Somebody better. Somebody who will, when God says something, he'll do something. He'll do it. Won't reinterpret it. He may give in to his timers. That's another story, right? David also failed tests, but they weren't this type of test. They weren't a test in his ability to. We all have weaknesses. David had weaknesses too, right? But this was a failure in his whole position as the monarch. The monarch, especially the monarch of the Jewish people, who hears the word of God and reinterprets it based on the pressure. That's not good for a king. Now it's possible, right? I have a theory that Shaul didn't lose this as a permanent loss. It means we all know when God says something negative, it doesn't necessarily have to happen. Negative
happen right away.
doesn't have to happen at all. A negative prophecy could be you'll do tshuva and it won't ever happen, right? So he doesn't say that Shaul can't do tshuva. I'm warning you, right? As you are at the moment, you've lost it. Can he do tshuva? Maybe. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see how the story plays out.
It's Bikesh.
Bikesh, to make a request. Like you say, bevakasha. In the written, bevakasha means please. When you make a request. Okay. Bikesh Hashem lo, God has sought out or made a request. Ish, a man kilvavo like his heart. It means God has already picked somebody else. Doesn't say God will pick. I'm telling you, Shmuel says God's picked somebody else. Bikesh Hashem lo, God has sought out a man kilvavo like his heart. Means someone who does his will, someone who does like he requests. Like Tzaveu Hashem lenogin, that God has commanded him as a leader, as a ruler, alamo of his people. Why? Ki lo shamarta, because you did not guard es hashet tzivcha Hashem, that which God commanded you.
Why are you doing this though, as a prophet?
Why is who doing what?
Why is Shmuel telling Shaul this?
You mean he should keep it a secret?
Yeah.
I suppose because he wanted to do tshuva. That's the question. Could Shaul have done tshuva on this or not?
Yeah, but you didn't have to add. You can just say you've lost your kingdom, you did bad. You don't have to add you've lost your kingdom, God has picked someone else who's after his own.
Surely that's what lost your kingdom.
Isn't that the same thing?
Yeah.
The whole thing is like having two sons. One does his homework, the other one doesn't. And you rub it in this one's face, and I'm going to buy this one a chocolate because he did his homework and he listens to you. You're rubbing that wound. Just say you did bad. You get on trying to ask.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
Because you're invoking jealousy now and resentment and.
But either way, if I say I've given the kingdom and take the kingdom away from you, by definition means giving it to somebody else.
You don't have to add it then after God's own heart I've already picked
It is because it's explaining what you have to do tshuva. The only way for you to do tshuva is to follow God's heart, because otherwise he's got somebody else. Pick somebody else. The truth is, like the Ramban says, even if Shaul had not made a mistake, in all likelihood there would have been some type of partnership between David and Shaul. Means yes, Shaul's kingdom should have been forever. That just means it would have been passed on to his future generations, but it would never have been absolute because there was always meant to have been a dynasty from Yehuda, right? So he's just saying that other partner, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, then he'll take over.
So in terms of chinuch, you see no issue with this. From a chinuch perspective.
God is not being mechanech. When you're a father, you'll have different issues.
He's not a baby.
He's not right. Shaul's a big man. It's not chinuch.
How would you feel if your father did that?
But he's not.
If I was an adult, I'd be okay with it.
Shaul's a big guy. How does Shaul react?
Shmuel's not
If you would have been Shaul, so you would have said, "Okay, God, you don't want me. I don't want you. Go out." Right? You insulted me. You slapped me across the face. It's not how Shaul reacts. Shaul's a great tzaddik. Shaul's okay. You can take. Just like you. You said to me, Rabbi Leader, I don't want you to be beat around the bush and be suffer me. Tell me. All the rabbis do that. I want you to tell me the truth, right? Yeah. Why? Because you're a big guy. You're not a teenager anymore, and you can take criticism. So Shaul is like you, or you're like Shaul.
What a compliment.
And another thing I had, another issue I don't want to say at the time, I don't want to disturb you, is your reasoning as to why Shaul thought the way he did it. The problem I have with that this is Shaul we're talking about. He's a big chacham. He knows a lot of Torah.
Before I started, did you have a better explanation? Whatever I say, you will ask the same question. Because whatever I say, Shaul was wrong, right? So you will ask the question, how could he make a mistake? He was a big chacham, a big tzaddik. So all we're trying to do is find some type of understanding, that's all. So we're trying to make it better. You know, I've not made it as good as you'd like it to be, but I've made it better than it was before. That's the point. We say, we don't know how to measure it. We don't know how atomic this pressure was. You know, was it a hydrogen bomb? It was an atom bomb. We don't know what product. You don't even know the numbers of people. We don't know the size of the Philistine army. We don't know what Philistines did to the captives. There's so many unknowns in the story to actually weigh things up. We're just trying to throw a few things into it to make it better than it was before. Yeah.
One more question. From a philosophical perspective.
The last class you said that at least 6 times.
But I kept quiet. I controlled myself until now.
Yeah. Yeah, but what happened to Shaul?
Yeah.
No, you're right. We didn't say it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean you control until now.
From a philosophical perspective, does God not care about our problems? Meaning, meaning,
I didn't say anything.
no, like, from a human perspective, we can understand this guy was under a lot of pressure. That's why he did what he did.
Of course.
It's a human.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm saying.
We answered that already.
was a
That
test.
God weighs things up. God knows exactly how much pressure you're able to take and what you should have done on the circumstance. Yeah, if you were faced with this pressure, God would have no complaints against you. But you're not Shaul. I mean, it's some characteristics similar to Shaul, right? But you're not Shaul yet. You're just starting the path. Obviously, I can't answer that question. I'm not God. I don't know I don't know how to weigh this up. Obviously, the answer is, well, there's 2 possible answers. Either God is cruel, that's one possible answer. Another possible answer is that God is very kind and understanding, and God does take all people's failures and things into account. And despite having said all that, Shaul still failed. You and I can't answer that question. By definition, we can't know what was expected of Shaul to do. God gave Shaul a test that he could have passed. And it was a misjudgment, taking the easier road, than to have to fight the Yetzer Hara telling him to go and bring it now. Right? Every test is like that. If God decides you failed, it's because you could have passed. And you should have passed. And I expected you to pass. And you failed. It was your decision to fail. Got me? Okay. Thank you very much. Take a break.